Hey guys, it's Melanie. Happy Wednesday. I'm coming at you with one eye done here because I'm doing another perfect neutral eye tutorial today. Although I will say this is probably not the most neutral eye tutorial that I've done. A lot of you had requested that I use the Marc Jacobs Provocateur eyeshadow palette, this guy right here, specifically because it has this gorgeous pink shade in the end here. And a lot of you, like me, were a little bit intimidated when looking at this palette just by this one particular shade. I remember the first time that I saw this palette, I was like, oh, it's absolutely perfect if they would have just replaced the pink with something else. But here's the thing. The pink is actually pretty amazing. I think you have to use it correctly in a more neutral eye look to really make it look like it's not crazy or like you're trying too hard. So I'm going to show you today how I use the pink to get this slightly pinky, I would say brighter summer eye, at least for me personally. I obviously tend to prefer very neutral eye looks, and so I tend to stay away from a lot of things like this. However, it can be wearable. You just have to kind of play around with it a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do today. I have the most interesting contraption set up here. I should shoot here. I'm gonna hold up the mirror so that you guys can see it, just so you see what I'm dealing with here. So my lighting's really funky today because it's super sunny out. So there's like weird shadows in this room right now, which is not ideal for a tutorial. I hope this still turns out. I'm sorry if it's a little bit darker than I would like it to be. I'm gonna try my best. However, I will definitely post some pictures on Instagram. So if you wanna see a little bit more of a close-up of the eye look, I will have that there. Okay, so first thing, I do use an eye primer. By the way, whatever is on the rest of my face, I will be linking down below in the description box. So all of that information is there, foundation, contour, blush, all of it will be down there. So I do have an eye primer on. My preferred primer right now is the Viseart Seamless Eye Primer. This one's fantastic, very grippy. So you definitely want to set this before you go in with your crease shades and all that fun jazz. So I'm actually gonna use the shade with Style, which is this one right here. It is a matte, it's actually kind of a pinky tone. And I'm just using this is like a fluffy brush from Sonia Kashuk from like way back in the day. And I'm just using that to set the eye primer. All right, I gotta make sure I'm in focus here. So I'm just putting that all over as essentially a base. Okay. Now I'm going to take a blending brush. This particular brush I can link down below. I'm not usually the best about linking my brushes, but I'll try to remember to do that. This one here is just from Sigma. I don't actually love the Sigma brushes. I actually prefer the Zoeva brushes, but my Zoeva brush, which is this guy right here, is currently dirty, so it's brush washing day for me. So what I'm going to do is go in with the shade Otherwise, which is this guy right here. It is a matte dusty plum, I would say. And I'm gonna kind of use that as my like base before I blend the pink in there, if that makes sense. All right, let's see, how in frame am I? Mostly. So what I'm doing is just initially placing the color where I want it to be the most intense. And then I'm gonna go back in and blend it out. But first is placing it. So for me, that is on this outer part from my lid where my lash line is all the way up just slightly above my crease. This particular shape, I feel like lends itself to a more elongated, slightly cat eye type effect. I like that look on me, but if you have a different eye shape, play around with the placement to find where you prefer your ideal placement. Just gonna grab a tiny bit more and I'm going to kind of tap that into the brush. And I've talked about this in my other neutral eye tutorials that I've done. What I do when I tap that into the brush is I cause the powder to fall in between the bristles, and then when I'm blending, the color kind of works its way up again and onto the areas where I want it, and it's a little bit more diffused that way. It really works well for me, but you can certainly just tap off the excess like this too, but I find that makes a big mess sometimes. So as I'm going in towards my inner corner here, I am staying more within my actual crease versus going up outside of that crease area. Don't smash the brush into your eyes. A tip, hold it a little further back so that you're not as tempted to like hold it like a pencil and, you know, scrub your eyelids. I think I hear a dog. All right, let's go in with the fun colors. So this shade is actually called In Bed. So let's go into the pink and let's load her up. That is some pink. By the way, I'm just using the same brush for all of the crease work. Just, I don't know. I've always done that. You can certainly use different brushes for different colors, but I don't see the need to. So again, I'm going to go in with the initial placement from the lash line all the way up just slightly above the crease on this outer part, and then working my way into my actual crease. So just literally following my socket line as I'm going into the inner corner. And just nice light windshield wiper motions. You can do little circles if you want. I mean, you can get really fancy with your blending, but usually just that back and forth is fine for me. So then oh, this lighting really blows today, doesn't it? Sorry, guys. So hopefully you can kind of see what I have going on there right now. There is a little bit of fallout with these shadows, but for the most part, I can easily brush it away because I use powder foundation, so my face isn't sticky or tacky from a liquid foundation. So the excess just kind of brushes away with a fluffy brush very easily. So. All right, so continue blending just a little bit here. Once I have things where I really like them, I'm going to go back in with my bamboo brush here from Sonia Kashuk, and I'm going to take a little bit of my initial crease shade which was, if you'll remember the shade Otherwise, and I'm just gonna put a smidge on here, and I'm going to blend out that crease shade. And what I'm doing here is just creating a nice gradient going up towards my brows. If you find that you blend away a little too much of the pink, you can certainly go back in and add just a smidge more to get it to where you like it. Okay, now I'm going to take the shade You Might, which is this middle one right here. And I'm actually just gonna take it on my pinky finger. This is a really nice pearl shimmer type finish, and I'm just going to pack that onto my lid really quickly. So this is my lid shade. So there's a little bit of shimmer going on in this look as well as a little bit of matte. Just gonna work that onto the lid there. And then again with my crease shade, no additional product this time, buff out the shimmer a little bit on this outer portion. Okay, now I'm going to take the, let's see, yeah, it was just this dark one here. Sorry. These, so these palettes are designed in a way that the names of the shades kind of create a sentence. So let me just read this little thing out to you so you know what the sentence is, I guess, going across here. So say it with style, otherwise you might as well just stay in bed. So those are the names. That's where that comes from. All right. As well, onto a brow line brush. This one is from Zoeva, and I'm going to use this to create my liner on my upper lash line here. This does create fallout, so I'll just brush that away here in a second. And I'm literally just pressing it into the lash line. Liner is kind of tricky when you have oilier eyelids because I find that most liquid and eyeliner pencils tend to want to melt and pool on the corner of my eye here by the end of the day. However, using a powder, that doesn't happen. So I've just been using my different like really dark eyeshadows as my liners for years now, and it works very well. So definitely try that if you haven't. The next thing that I'm gonna do is just take what is left and line my lower lash line, and I'm just lining the outer, I would say 2/3 of the lash line. And then I am going to take a Q-tip and just smudge that out ever so slightly because I don't want it to be a really harsh line. And now I'm going to take the clean brush and just lift away that excess powder. So that cleans up really easily. And you guys, that's it. That's the eye look. So at this point, obviously I still need to put on mascara. I'm gonna do that off camera. But my mascara duo today is the CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume along with the Clump Crusher. These two are fantastic. They create a voluminous eye look, but also a very separated voluminous lash look, which is kind of what I personally prefer. So I'm gonna do this off camera. Again, I hope this was helpful. Definitely, if you have this palette, don't be afraid of the pink. Just blend it out with some of the other shades in here, and I think you'll find that it's actually fairly wearable. Would I do just straight up pink by itself? Probably not me personally, just because that doesn't really fit my like everyday eye look. However, if you're a little bit more bold, I think this could be very pretty just on its own. But if you're like me and you're leaning a little bit more towards the neutrals, just blend it out with some of the other matte shades in here, especially this Otherwise. These two are a great pairing together. They wouldn't look like they would be, but they do create a really nice, somewhat neutral eye look. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you guys have any questions. As always, everything else, check the description box. The information is all down there for you. So have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.